In this lecture we are going to learn how can we input some text and numbers from the console. It's a very easy thing to do. If you don't understand it, we're going to have lectures further in the course that will explain each of the steps in more details. I'm just going to tell you how you can do it so that you can create a little more interesting programs while you're doing your exercises, before you learn how you can actually do this in more details. Let's say that you want to input some string, some text from the console. The first thing that you're going to say is input your name, for example. Ask the user, ask yourself, what is your name? What is your name? And then when you input your name, you have to store it in some variable. You have to save it in a string variable. The string variable is called text. So first name equal to, you have to make it equal to console.readLine. What will happen now is when our code runs, the console will ask us what is your name, and then this method here, the readLine method, will execute and it will wait for your input. When you write your name on the console, this method will save your name in this variable. So if we print the first name variable on the console, we will get the name that we have written on the console. So let's try it. Dot. This is how you input text from the console. Imagine that you want to input some number and save it in an integer variable. How do you do this? Well, you do it the same way with one minor detail. We have to change this here to int, so let's rename this to h. Let's use the shortcut, so h. And here you can see that now we have an error, and this is because the readLine method works only with strings, so we have to parse it. We have to use int.parse and put brackets around the readLine method. Don't worry about how all of this works. We will get to a point in the course where you will learn how this works exactly with a lot more details, but for now just remember how we are doing it and use it whenever you want to make your program a little bit more interesting. If we run it again now, and if we write the number 5, we are 5 years old. Here it should say, how old are you? Alright, now I'm going to show you a little bit more complicated thing, and this thing will allow you to get inputs in specific boundaries. So let's say that you just want to take numbers from 1 to 10. In order to be able to do this, you have to use a while loop. You don't know what a loop is, and for the better half of this course, you won't know what a loop is. Again, I'm just going to give you this piece of code, and whenever you need to use it, whenever you want, not need, whenever you want to use it, because you won't need to use it, not yet, but whenever you want to use it to make your program a little bit more interesting, just copy this piece of code and use it. These are the limitations of the variable that you're inputting. If you input the variable within your limitations, you will break out of this loop and you will proceed with your code. Basically, what the loops do, what any loop does, is it executes the code that is in the loop, and unless something breaks the loop, like this break here, it will go back and re-execute it, and it goes around and round and round in circle until something breaks the loop. In this case, what breaks the loop is a correct input from the user. So if we run this now, and if we input the number 15, for example, it will say please input age between 1 and 10, and it asks us again how old are you. If we give it a 20, we have a slight mistake here with the pause. It keeps going on and on. Let me put it down here. It keeps going on and on until you give it the correct input. So we can give it again. It says again, please input age between 1 and 10. And if we give it a 10, so we have a slight error here as well. We're going to fix it. If we give it an 8, it prints the 8 on the console and the program finishes because we're out of the loop. So here we have to give it an equal sign, and here we have to give it an equal sign as well. Just that here it needs to be like this. So whenever you need some input between some boundaries, just copy and paste this code. The only things that you need to change in this code is the name of your variables your boundaries, and your messages. If you don't understand the rest of this code, you will understand it later in the course, don't worry. If you want, just use it like that.